Greetings and salutation, guys, gals, people, and pals. It's the gentleman, Sir Turtle, and we're back at it again. I wanted to talk to you today about a topic that is very important, especially in the climate that we're in today, with how everything's pay to win, free to play, uh, gotcha, fear of missing out. There's so many different things, especially in Street Fighter duels, that when it comes to spending money in games, it's important to remember that not all games are created equal. There are some games that are designed to be more pay to win than others, especially when a lot of people like to compare, oh, AFK Arena versus this game or that game versus this game. In these type of games, it may be more difficult to progress or compete without actually spending money. In terms of PvP, unless you're chasing the Steps of Honor on the new server, you will end up needing to spend money to compete. That's just the nature of like the competition in terms of like if you have a whale in your server, they're most likely going to spend, and even if you want to compete against them, that's that whale versus whale is the tendency. In PvP, on the other hand, you don't need to spend a dime. It's important to consider that the potential negatives and consequences of spending money in game. While spending money can definitely be fun and rewarding, and it's a wonderful way to support your favorite games, especially something as an IP of Street Fighter. It's a very well loved IP. You have to be careful because it can lead to addiction and financial problems if not done within moderation. There's a balance to everything. It's how like there's a balance to the games and how you want to play and structure yourself. There's also a balance to how you should structure your finances and your decisions outside as well. When you're purchasing in-game content such as characters, skins, weapons, you're just essentially buying the right to the content, not necessarily owning the content. So if the game shuts down, you'll lose the access to the content, even if you purchased it. So a lot of people think that just because they purchased it, that they own it 100%. That is not the case. Because of the game developers, and the publishers retain the ownership of in-game content. So even after you purchase it, if the game shuts down, that's a wrap, folks. The developers and publishers may no longer be able to provide access to that content, and you might not be able to use it in any games or platforms that you choose. And that is sometimes the harsh reality. While some games do offer refunds in terms of shutdowns, that's not always the case. So you have to be consider the the potential risk of purchasing in-game content, and to make an informed decision based on your own preference and your own budget. Please try to stay within your means instead of breaking your back. No game and no item, no nothing is worth that. One of the ways to mitigate the risk of losing access to any in-game content is focusing on the things that you can purchase, that will have a longer lifespan, especially like games that have a strong active player base, a strong active community. Those games tend to be a little bit more of a better swing for your bang for your buck. Additionally, you may want to consider purchasing content that you're likely to enjoy alongside that for the long term, instead of like a content that's going to become obsolete or irrelevant over time. Like for example, Flame Chung Li might fall into that category. Right now, she might be hot and popping. To be honest, not many people consider her hot and popping in the first place. That's technically considered a pass, and if that's the case, you don't spend the money, you save it for something that's going to be useful in the future. That's just definitely one way you could go about it. Another way to do it in terms of things that are not necessarily obsolete, especially in Street Fighter duels, stuff such as experience, breakstones, the wonderful, wonderful world of breakstones, and the cash. Like above all, those are like super important. Uh, Realistically, that's the most important thing that you should be gathering. But overall, while purchasing in-game content, it can be fun, it can be rewarding, and it's definitely a way to enhance your experience. It's important to be aware of the potential risk and limitations of ownership. Like, be aware that making an informed decision on focusing on games with a strong active player base, you can definitely minimize the risk of losing access to your purchased content, But again, nothing lasts forever, so be aware that that's definitely a caveat in most games, especially in the world of mobile gaming and gacha gaming. Yes, there are things that are running 8, 10 years, some are apparently, and that is definitely a feat. But my question is, how many other games have followed those footsteps? When it comes to the fear of missing out, it's important to remember that exclusive content, exclusive items are not necessary to enjoy the game. Like I stated, Fashion Chun-Li can fall into that banner, and while it's tempting to keep up, to try to keep up with others and not miss out on anything, it's important to approach the game in a healthy, balanced way. Do you really need that Flame Chun-Li? Do you really need that Sakura? Bison was a big one. Like, realistically, you have access to Bison in other ways. You don't need to spend $100. Another way that you could set up limits is on your playtime and spending is by setting boundaries. Just ensure that you're not neglecting the other important aspects of your life. Make sure you're working within your means. Pay your bills, feed your family, feed yourself, take care of your mental health, take care of the stresses of your life first, and then focus on the things like, putting money into games. Another way to balance the desire to be good at games with the potential negative side effect of the fear of missing out, as well as the purchases of in games. Uh, Again, the resources are plentiful within the game. Street Fighter Duels does offer many quests, achievements, events that you can earn in-game currency without spending money. Those events, especially now the events that's happening with the Tarot, if you look on the list, please, choose wisely. Maybe, Rose looks pretty, the banner looks pretty. Some of those characters might look pretty, but realistically, those 24-hour breaks, the 24-hour money, the 24-hour experience, that's things you should be picking. So, make sure you're making the wise decisions within game as well to have a overall larger impact on your account. And then I think this one is, it's actually really important, especially to me. Joining the community, of other players who share interests. It's a great way to learn from others and improve your gameplay. There are many wonderful, wonderful players that spend and dedicate a lot of time into learning the ins and outs of the game. And by connecting with these players, you can share the tips, you can share your strategies, you can easily ask for help. The Discord community is a wonderful place that they're always willing to help and answer any and every question. It's wonderful, and built a sense of camaraderie that it can help and allow you to enjoy the game more. Like, yeah, you maybe play the game for 10 minutes or an hour or a couple of hours, but the Discord's always there talking about the games, talking about many different topics, and just being overall general interesting. So, in conclusion, while spending money and the fear of missing out can have both negative consequences, there definitely are ways to balance the desire to be good at a game, and you just need to approach the game in a healthy and balanced way. Set limitations, use the in-game resources, join the community, and being mindful that fear of missing out is definitely strong. Always talk to someone if you really need to. You're not alone. You can definitely achieve high levels of success without spending a dime, and you can avoid the harmful effects of the compulsive behaviors. So, be aware, be mindful, and understand that you're not alone. We're all playing the same game, and we all have to face the same decisions and consequences when depending on how we do it and stuff like that. So, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you feel about the whole situation. And, hopefully this is giving you a little bit of a help, maybe to understand that, the battle, I understand it's not hard. The addiction, the grind, the competition, it's all there and it's very strong. You're not alone. Stay happy, stay hydrated, stay alive, folks. Let's chill out.